Here we go. So tonight's call, guys, is all about connecting. And one of the pieces of advice or feedback I got from the last group was that you were given some good examples of how to connect, but then kind of it became unraveled in the process of, okay, I've got interest, now what do I do? So we're going to talk a little bit about both components tonight. And I really highly encourage the other leaders on the team who are having success with doing this to speak up. As I'm going through, I don't want this to just be like the Melissa show, because all of us run our businesses differently. If there's one thing we've all learned, there's 300 ways to make $1 million. Like literally every single Isogenics millionaire has done it differently. So as I'm speaking, if you're thinking of something you want to share that works best for you, feel free to pipe up. I'm just giving kind of general content and my 2 cents, and feel free to throw some curveballs out there as we're walking through content. You can be like, hey, this is what I've come across. How would you handle that? That's the whole purpose of these calls. So a reminder, the homework for the call tonight, I always give you guys a little bit of pre-work, and it's always based off of our Global Exec webpage, globalexecteam.com webpage. So it houses all of our training materials. And the homework really was to study how to create your first network list. And then it was to encourage you to think about how to connect. So part of the homework was to look at some of the templates on how to connect when you pick up the phone, how to connect when you make your first social media post. There's just so many different ways to connect. Nicoletta, I love the message you sent me earlier today by a prospect that said, I don't know if this is about selling, but I'm not into selling, I'm a connector. And I'm like, she's your girl. This business is about connecting. You're not selling, you're connecting people to the resources. You're just connecting and sifting for interest. And if people are open, you're connecting them to the tools, you're connecting them to the overviews, you're connecting them to the resources. You're not selling them anything. So if she's a master connector, you want her on your team. So we're going to talk a little bit about connecting. We're going to talk about the content from Global Exec Team. The other piece of homework assignment I gave you guys was like a quick excerpt, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, by Susan Miller on how to schedule a 3-way call. If you haven't looked at that, definitely go back and check it out, because as you're getting interest, you're going to want to pull in your upline. I pulled Amanda Ham into my first 10 3-way calls with her on product and on business. And as I progressed through my 3-way calls, the first couple of calls, she was doing like all the talking, and I was like feverishly taking notes. And by the end of it, she was just there for validation. Louisa, I keep muting you. You keep coming off. Okay. I'm just kind of trying to keep the call clean. And by the end of it, she was just there for validation, and I had created my own and different way of doing it with some of her content. And that's what you guys are going to experience as you bring your upline into the calls. You're going to love some of the things they say, and then you're going to think, I could do X, Y, Z a little bit differently. And so as you grow and develop, you'll lead your own calls, and before you know it, you'll be doing 3-way calls for the people that you enrolled, who are now sifting for interest for people in their networks. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So let's just start with the first homework assignment, which was around identifying your networks. There's a worksheet that I guess I can just pull up the webpage so you guys have it for reference. There is a worksheet in the Global Exec Team webpage. I'm just going to pull it up. That encourages you to brainstorm. I'd love to see, with a show of hands, who has read, you can just put your hand up, who's read GoPro by Eric Worre. It is phenomenal. If you're on this call, you should read it. It should be the very first thing that you do. If you've raised your hand and you're on this call, you're interested in leveraging the power of networks. And Eric Worre is like the godfather of network marketing. And he writes a really quick read. It's like this big. You can get it for like $7 on Amazon. And a big portion of his book is about your list, your network list. of people that you know. So that's what we're going to talk about here. Let's see, somebody's saying something. Okay, yeah, Susanna has. And oh, that would be great, Christine, if you want to share the audio. And you can get it on Audible. Absolutely. So whatever version you like, it is, you'll when you read it, you're going to recognize that this was written back in the day before there was social media. But the key core concepts of connecting are all still the same. You can bridge them into 2019, 2020. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is with identifying your network. So here, there's just an example of who do you know. I want you guys to use this as a reference sheet, because you know so many more people than you think you do. And let me just take a step back. Why is it important to just throw up on a piece of paper who you know? The reality is, who you know is your network. This is a business of building networks. Your asset is your network. Your net worth is your network, right? And so brainstorming the different categories of networks that you know is the first step in getting pen to paper. I was reading or listening somewhere not too long ago, I don't know if it was in Forbes or where it was, but they talk about how, maybe it was the guy, Robert Kiyosaki, but they talk about how rich people build networks, people who are, people who have trade time for money work, right? And so the wealthiest people in the world are constantly building their networks, right? And growing and expanding. And so this is just a great reference. I want you guys to have it to brainstorm your networks. Eric Lorre talks about how, as a great networker, and he uses like the Rolodex as an example. We don't have that these days, right? You're going to use an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to use a CRM. I love Asana to put all of my network in. But the key is to brain dump. Who do you know? Okay. Even people that you think without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely never would be interested in this business, ever. Because the act of stimulating your brain and putting that person's name down, when you write their name down, you then all of a sudden will start thinking about who they are connected to as well, right? And so you want that exercise to come to fruition. And I'm going to give you an example of how this plays out really nicely in a minute. Okay, so you've got these categories to think about. Now, Susan Miller is brilliant with this. She talks about, I tried to open these from my phone. Faster. Okay, all right. Susan Miller, her challenge is, as you guys are doing this, I'm going to give you some examples that may or may not be in here. One of the first places I went is people I knew from college. Sorority sisters, undergrad, pharmacy school, people I went to high school with. Think about your church, your wedding registry or your wedding list, people you invited, your Christmas card list, right? These are all people that are, intimate to your family. And if you can mute your line, if you're on, because I'm hearing some background noise. So if you can mute, everybody can mute. Who is not muted right now? I don't know, I'm just gonna mute everybody again. Okay, all right. So you want to put all these categories down. Church, church community. If you're a parent and you're involved in the PTA, what I want you to start thinking about before you just start brain dumping everyone you know. Susan Miller is brilliant at this. She challenges you to think in categories of networks instead of just like because you can get. I remember Melva and I talked about this a couple of years ago. She's like, "Oh my God, I know like hundreds of people. Like I don't know where to start with that." And Susan challenges you to think in categories of groups, and that's why I'm giving you categories. So you can kind of lump them in different social networks, from schools, from PTAs, from sports that your kids are in, sports that you play, your neighborhood, professional groups that you're a part of. LinkedIn is a whole other category. Facebook, social media platforms, those you can export very easily and have a massive list of networks. So anyway, so that's enough on that. I want to, and this is where Susan says, take that list categorically as they fall into categories from different social networks. And then if you want to work efficiently, if you know hundreds of people, which I promise you do, her challenge is think through within those social networks. So I'm going to use an example at pharmacy school. Who is the most influential and or the most highly connected person within that network? Okay? Who is the most influential, highly connected person in that network? If you want to work efficiently, that's the first person you want to connect and approach. Now, the reality is that person may have zero interest in the business. Zero. And you have to honor that, and that is absolutely okay. That doesn't mean they don't need these products. That doesn't mean these products can't change their life physically, right? Do they need more energy? Do they need to lose weight? Do they need to sleep better? Do they want to age more youthfully? Are they athletically inclined to get an edge in the gym? I mean, we have a platform that caters to everyone. And the reason I'm saying look at the people who are most highly networked, I'm going to give you a great example. Sadie Cox happens to be one of my closest friends that I went to pharmacy school with. She was also the president of our graduating class at East Carolina University. She was also the president of our pharmacy school, okay? Sadie, I don't know if you're on the line. You guys will meet her if you're going to Celebration because she's coming. Sadie got on these products. She didn't have interest in the business, but she was at a plateau in her diet and she wanted to lose 30 more pounds. We got 30 pounds off of her, and homegirl made a post on social media and got like 900 likes, okay? Not only did she get 900 likes, she enrolled Christine Manukin, who's on the line, is a Crystal executive and has crushed just about every competition there is with Isogenics. She also enrolled Dr. Melva, who also is a Crystal executive, crushing this business right now. And Dr. Melva and her downline enrolled Tammy Fry, who became an executive who may be on the line. Tammy Fry, within her downline, enrolled Jennifer Bartram, who's here on the line tonight as a Crystal executive, massive leader in this company. What is my point? My point is go for the people who are highly influential and connect with them on how you can be a solution to them, whether it's physically or financially. Because if they find value in what you have to offer and you impact their life, they're so highly connected that it's going to be infectious whether they're interested in the business or not. And that is, that is exactly what happened as an example with Sadie Cox. So I hope that inspires you guys to think through who's most influential and how can I change their life? Because you know these products can change your life, okay? So that's that. Now, let's talk about connecting and validating. So it's one thing to connect. So that's going to be on the next. So there's so many different ways to connect. So I'm going to give you a couple different categories of connecting. And these are just some resources and templates that you can play with. You can connect with people belly to belly. It happened to me tonight with like 6 kids running around. My neighbor's asking me like, so what is network marketing? She's been watching me. We've been living beside each other for like a month, and she sees that I'm working about half the hours she is, and I'm out playing with my kids, and I'm like watching her son and taking them to the pool. And we went to the pool this afternoon, and she's like, how many hours do you work a week? And I'm like, I don't know, 18, maybe 20. And she's like, so she just was very curious about what this network marketing is all about. You need to be prepared to answer these questions without stumbling all over yourself, right? And it's only going to happen with practice. You're going to stumble all over yourself the first 15 times you do it till you get confident with what rolls out of your mouth. And people aren't going to take you seriously till you confidently roll it out of your mouth, right? That's just a reality. So a couple of categories: belly to belly, connecting, and then there's the push and the pull campaign. The push campaign is what are you putting out there to create a brand for yourself that's attracting people to you, kind of attraction marketing. And then there's the pull campaign, and that is reaching out to people saying, hey, I'm thinking of you. Hey, Will you take a look at this? Hey, I think very highly of you. I think you'll be a perfect fit for this. Will you take a look, right? So I like to put them into 3 different categories. There's the push campaign of creating a brand for yourself. There's the pull campaign where you're reaching directly out. And then there's that belly to belly, where your 30-second story better be succinct, right? So what did I say to my neighbor today when she was like, so what is network marketing? I was like, wow, that is a really loaded question with 6 kids running around screaming at each other and we can't get 2 sentences in, And I was like, well, in particular with the company I'm in, I help people open up global businesses across the world. It's a virtual franchise, home-based business where I teach people how to open up wholesale accounts and redirect their spend on phenomenal health and wellness products that most people are using in their household anyway, and now they can redirect it into one spot and participate in the global growth and expansion of the company and create a secondary income stream for themselves. And that was all I had time to say before, somebody's screaming and somebody needs something else, but that was a seed planted, right? Now, I could have jumped at her and been like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And I know that I can tell that you're totally stressed out with your work and this would be a great solution for you. And why don't we get you on the products? And this would just be perfect. It would free you financially. And that is what scares people, right? They're like, whoa, they smell commission breath and desperation, right? And I know you guys have heard Susan say this and you've heard other speakers say this, but you have to get to a point of posture that it's very matter of fact. It's very just yeah, this is what I do. It's amazing. I'm happy to inform you about it, but I'm not going to jump down your throat about it tonight. Now, easy for me to say, right? I've built a pretty significant business. I know when I was first getting started, every crumb was a meal, right? You just wanted enrollment. You just wanted manager, anybody, come on. So it's easy to say that now, but in reflection, it's so important because she's continually curious. I'm living beside this woman. I can't just jump down her throat about this. I would love to have her on my team, right? So the push-pull, belly-to-belly. I gave you a belly-to-belly example today. Remind me to follow back up with you guys on what should I do with that as follow-up, right? So we talked about it at dinner tonight. Do I just leave it there? Do I wait till I run into her again? So when we get to follow up, you guys remind me and we'll talk about, because I haven't even really thought about it and I need to. What am I going to do to follow up and create interest for her? So push campaign is putting things out there. Now, those of you, many of you, think about how you were introduced to this opportunity. Was there some curiosity created through a platform? I would fare to just gesture out there that most of you probably had some curiosity because somebody put something out there on social media. How about just put a smiley face in the comment section if the way you're introduced to Isogenics, introduced, not enrolled, but introduced, curiosity created, was through some social media platform. You guys will put a little smiley face in the comment section. And so it is going to be a piece of your business is creating, and we're going to talk more about this in the future with some training, but just beginning to create a brand for yourself. And when I say brand, I don't mean Isogenics. It's brand around what do you represent from a health, happy, balanced, wellness perspective. Are you showing up and being a product of the product? And are you creating value for your audience and creating curiosity for them to lean in and learn more? And so I want you to reflect on what attracted you to it in the first place. So let's go to the comment section for the second. Smiley face, smiley face. So we got Christine was, Kristen was, Louisa was, Dawn was, Brandon was. And I know many people who aren't typing in were for sure as well. Okay, so that's the push campaign, and you're gonna get more training on that. And occasionally we do social media blitzes, which maybe we should do one in the next couple. Maybe after let me put it in my notes. Maybe after celebration we should do one. It'd be fun. Creates a lot of hype, energy on social media. Okay. So then there's the pull. And the pull campaign is connecting and reaching out. Now, I will tell you, one of my favorite things to do is actually record my voice and send it to people. I've even been doing it on LinkedIn some lately, because people can hear your tone, they can hear your energy, they can hear your excitement. You don't have to use the recording, but if you're using Facebook Messenger or you're using Instagram, you have that function, and I think people really respond to it nicely. But then the question is, what are you reaching out to people for? I find that people are more open to me reaching out to them about the business than they are about the product. If reaching out to someone about the product, if they have no expressed interest in the product, I kind of feel like I'm calling them fat or something. I don't know, that sounds like, hey, do you want to get on these products? Like, but if you're seeing something on social media, Dawn and Jennifer say are on the social media blitz. Perfect. Now, this is for a whole other conversation, but if you're on a platform, like maybe you're on LinkedIn and someone's posting about being exhausted or jet lagged, or maybe you're on Instagram or Facebook and someone's talking about needing to lose a couple pounds, or they're just tired of prepping food or whatever, that's a trigger to message. That's a trigger for a pull campaign. You want to reach out for the product. Now, as far as the pull campaign, what makes a pull campaign easier, a pull to reach out, ask people if they're interested from a product standpoint, is if you go out and make your first social media post. And there's guidance on this right here, simple steps to an initial social media post. And what's important if you're going to go make your first social media post is that you let all of us know, because when you're making a post on social media, when you get comments from your teammates, it continues to boost your post up in the top of people's feeds. So you want our support, because the more hits you get, the more activity, four words or more in the comment section is going to keep it boosting to the top. So as your network jumps in throughout the day, it's more likely to fall into their feed if it's been boosted because of the activity. So you don't want to make a post without asking for our support. So post in the Run With Me thread, hey, I just made my first social media post, or any post. You guys will see some of the more experienced people on the line, they'll occasionally just throw it in there. Hey, I just made a power post. Go in and give me some support. They know how important it is to have their teammates get their back and boost their feed. So coming out, and it doesn't have to be a weight loss journey. Your social media post, like when I was pregnant with my third, Kristen, it was really fun because I got to have a whole new angle with Isagenix and a whole new market. You know, when I first built my Isagenix business, I lost 5 pounds and I got ripped. And so my journey was more about getting really toned. And then it was really fun after Wyatt was born, or even during the pregnancy, because I was able to make a lot of posts about my favorite products while I was pregnant and why I liked them. You know, one of my favorite things was the apple agave squeezers, because I have low blood sugar. And when I'm up at 5 in the morning, I couldn't work out without it, being, 7 or 8 months pregnant. And then, post-pregnancy, getting back into shape like that, there was a lot of credibility to the product. So my point is, no matter where you are in your journey for Isagenix or why you're using it, you can craft some posts about product on social media that will generate likes and comments from your network. And that's the goal, is just to get your network intrigued. And if you're just making one post and hoping that's going to make you an Isagenix millionaire, it's not happening, right? But it's the consistency without being obnoxious. So I would say, like, every, 8 to 10 posts on any platform should be very directed about the product. Otherwise, people are going to be like, okay, Christine, like yesterday it was all about everything personal, and now, like, all we've seen is 15 posts about Isagenix. Clearly, you're just trying to shove a product down our throat. Like, your network is going to be numb to that, and they're not going to be interested. But if you're folding it in every occasional post and otherwise being kind of mysterious about it, again, think about how you were attracted to it. You can create your own pull campaign with the product. You can also create your own pull campaign with the business. It starts as a push, I should say, pushing stuff out about residual income or about your excitement for a secondary income stream. What you're looking for with that push campaign are likes and comments in the section of your post, because then you can pull, right? So then you can reach out and you can pull in by messaging people. I do this on LinkedIn all the time. About once every other week, I go through my posts and I go through the comment section and I look for all the likes. And I have a template where I'll reach out to people and I thank them for their support on my post. And I just say, thank you so much for your support on my post. It's been such a great journey. I've actually made a video about what I'm up to. Would love your professional feedback. If I sent this to you, would you watch it? Would you be interested in watching it? And so anyway, my point is whether you're leading with a business or whether you're leading with a product, there's some ways to start with a push campaign, creating brand with an occasional interweave about the product. And then from that, create pull, because you're creating interest. And then obviously you have your belly to belly. I challenge you guys. I even get tripped up on this sometimes. You get busy and you just don't want to have another conversation, right? And that's when you should have a conversation. And so I actually think that the more 30-second stories you have with complete strangers, like, you shouldn't be attached to the outcome, right? So then when you're sitting at dinner with a neighbor that you know you're going to be living beside for the next 20 years and you don't want to screw up what rolls out of your mouth, guess what? You've practiced your 30-second story on 100 strangers that you don't care about the outcome on, right? And so it's really important that you practice your 30-second story, and not only practice your 30-second story, but practice articulating, responding to what it is you do. If you're owning this as a business, you better be able to roll off the tip of your tongue what it is and why. And I couldn't for like 2 years. I was like, we're a health and wellness company, and I'm like a life coach or something. Right? I didn't know what to say. And that actually brings me to taking notes on what is it that you do. That's like a whole nother practice topic that we could have. And everybody's got different answers to that are beautiful, all of our leaders. Okay, we've got some comments in the chat. Okay, that's Eric Warre's way of teaching. If I would you. Yes. Nicoletta says, Melba and I are working more on showing those the culture, casting the vision. That's what she has been doing with her cold market on Instagram. I couldn't agree more, Nicoletta. All of my enrollment on LinkedIn, even though that's like the driest place for people to be, the feedback I've gotten from everyone I've enrolled is that it really didn't have anything to do with the content about the business. It was the energy, the excitement, the fun that I was having, like videos that I was showing where kids were on stage dancing. Like, you don't typically see that in LinkedIn. And people that are trolling through LinkedIn are kind of looking for something different, right? So yeah, I think, and Susan Miller says that all the time, like, you are attracting a culture. You are attracting an energy. It's really not the business itself. All right, let's see. Love this and all the collaboration. How do you balance when to use your 30-second story and doing what Susan Miller says about waiting to share the business after connecting? Waiting to share the business. Not quite sure what you're asking here. Whenever I'm like literally meeting a stranger or someone for the very first time, and it's like my first point of connection, and I'm not just dumping off my 30-second story, I'm only sharing the story when I have a chance. There's a point of connection, right? So like for instance, someone's talking about being like today with my neighbor. Her husband travels all the time. He's gone all the time. And I was like, and he struggles with his nutrition. And I was like, yeah, it's funny. Like, that's exactly why I got into these products, right? There was that point of connection. And then I elaborated my 30-second story in a way that talked about the product and travel and efficiency, right? So I wasn't going to go into my, a pencil pitch there. Speaking of social media, what do you guys like to say to someone you don't know who comments and likes on your posts or slides? I reach out to them. So that's actually what I look for. Like the whole reason I have a campaign out there. The whole reason I'm putting out on LinkedIn what I'm putting out is I'm hoping for people that I don't know, or people even in my network that I know, to like or comment, because it lets me know that they have some level of interest. It drives me nuts that you'll see that you've had like 1,000 views, but like 4 people have commented or liked, and you're like, but then you find out someone messages you like 3 years in and they're like, I've been watching your journey, but they've never commented, right? So yeah, you've got to take it offline directly and message them. Okay, so let's talk about that. So there's a business prospecting template that Susan Miller has. So people that you're super close to, this would be like your best friend, or not even your best friend, could be, but someone that you're just like, well, and you're just like, man, they would totally crush this. And I'm super excited. I just want to chat with them about it. Susan gives us some power lines when you're calling someone, or that you want to message about the business. I have something to show you I'm pretty excited about. I don't know if it's the right time for you to take a look and take action, but if it is, you're going to love me. I love this. And I use something fairly similar to this without telling people they're going to love me, because it's just not quite my personality. But just creating interest and letting people know you're excited. You can record your voice with this. You can take this and record your voice and send it to people, right? Send it to 100 people if you wanted to. It's going to land in most people's laps, and they're not ready to receive it. And that's why I love what Susan says. It's like, I don't know if it's the right time for you. A lot of times in my messaging, I will say, this may or may not be for you, but if it is, it could completely change your life. And so when you say something like that, it takes the pressure off of people of feeling like you're going to try to close them on a phone call, right? But you're dispelling that. You're kind of like breaking down the walls of like tension or any expectation that you're trying to get them into something. You're saying, hey, it may or may not be for you, but if it is, it could totally change your life. And I love this one. Your perception is not my reality. Are you open to hearing why? So many people think they understand network marketing and they don't. And I love educating people about that. And so I actually use that verbatim on LinkedIn sometimes. And some people are open to being educated. Some people are just skeptical. Is it one of those things? Don't let a message like that deter you from still following up with that person. I was one of those people for 8 months. I'm like, it's one of those things. Like, I wish you would just stop messaging me because I'm not interested. It's one of those things. And then one day, when I needed to lose like 2 or 3 pounds and get into a bikini and go to St. John, and my company was going through a massive restructure, and I knew because she'd created a campaign brand about herself that she was doing really well with the business and that she was helping people get really healthy. When she finally sent me a message on the right day when I was feeling fat and I hated my job, I was like, yes, I'll take a look. Right? And so you just never know. You never know when people are ready to receive it. When people don't respond, it just means not right now. It just means it's not a priority. And if you give up on them, then man, Amanda Ham wouldn't have gotten me in her downline, right? Okay. So those are some business prospecting words of wisdom. There's some text message for texting friends. This is really more for products, but this is good, guys, because as you're enrolling new people, if you're on the line, you're interested in building a business. And so you're going to have people that you're all consultants, most of you are. And so that means you've shared with other people. That means you have a responsibility now. You're a leader. You now have the responsibility of teaching, paving it forward to them on how to share. And the reality is 80% of the people you enroll are not going to be interested in the business. 80%. But doesn't mean they don't want to eat for free. And you need to be able to show them how to eat for free. And the way you show them how to eat for free is give them really simple text like this to say, hey, like when you think about the people you've enrolled over the past couple of weeks or months and how great results they're having, it's easy to say, hey, I know you had great results. I know you're loving these products. It would be amiss for me not to at least share with you how we have this referral-based program where you can get referral money for just referring people to the products. If I gave you some ideas on messages on, how to reach out to people, would you take a look? Would you send them out? It's that simple. And you can even start with, who do you know that needs this? This has clearly been a huge positive thing for you in your life. Who in your immediate family, who of your friends and family need more energy, need to lose weight, need to sleep better? Like, who do you know? Let's find 2 people. Let me give you some examples of how you can message them. And then you just lead them to this link. You can even take a screenshot. You can copy and paste into a text. It's all here for you to share with other people. I have found that people have the hardest time getting started and sharing because they just don't know what to do. Like, confused people do nothing. So maybe they love the product, but they have no idea how to share with other people. Okay. So that's that. And that's for this text is for you guys too. I mean, every couple of months I hunker down into a 30-day detox, and you better bet that when I do, I'm still recruiting people. Hey, it's been a while since I've done my 30-day program. I know you've reached out to me before looking for some accountability buddies. My neighbor was just talking about how she can't get the stubborn weight off. I'm pointing because she lives right there. I don't know why I'm whispering. She can't hear me. But she was just talking about stubborn weight and working from home and grazing in the refrigerator all the time, So like, there's so much potential over there. And you just have to be able to connect and talk about it. Okay, so that's sample text. And then there's your simple steps to sharing on Facebook. I will tell you that using before and after photos or photos in general just create more interest. If you're brand new, it gives you an example that you don't have to use your own photo. As a matter of fact, for your people you've already enrolled who want to share but don't know how, again, you want to share this with them. They can use this template to make a post, and it talks them through how to respond to people when they're interested, and how to even go through a 3-way call, I think, down there. And it even talks about cost objections. But my point is there's scripts and guidance for people on how to make their first social media post. And if they, even on day 1, if they've just gotten started, they can use this template. And what the template does is it encourages you to borrow a photo of your sponsor. So for instance, let's say, let me see who's on the line here. Did I enroll? Let's see. Louisa. Well, Louisa, you didn't come in for weight loss. Let me think. Tyler. So Tyler could do this, except Tyler's not on social media. So Tyler, we got to get you on social media, buddy. Got to join 2020. That's around the corner. But Tyler's looking to lean up, to lose a little bit of weight. He's also nourishing himself through a major surgery. So for him, I would be like, look, Tyler, so your journey is just now starting. You don't have a store yet, but I know you don't want to pay for your products next month. Here's what we can do. Here's, what you can do is take photos, my before and after photo, where I chiseled away a couple inches of my waist and I look leaner and toner. And you can take my before and after photos and put them in social media and talk about how you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that you, after watching your good friend Melissa go through a 30-day nutritional reboot, it really inspired you to do the same. And then you have my pictures to lean on, right? So this is a way to coach people who are brand new but don't want to. They want their money back immediately. They're ready to eat for free yesterday, but they've just started their journey. Now, if they've been on the products for 3 or 4 weeks or 60 or 80 days and they've got a great story, man, you want to encourage them to get out there and share it with the world because you want to tap into their network, right? Think about Sadie Cox. Think about I probably have 2,000 people literally in my downline because Sadie Cox made a post before and after. And Sadie is paid as manager on this team. And there is not a month that doesn't go by that I am like, you are the reason I can pay the mortgage on this house. You know that, right? Now, all of you are the reason I can pay the mortgage on the house. But the reality is a lot of people on this line wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Sadie Cox. And it was because I encouraged Sadie to make a before and after photo. And a lot of people in our network know her, know she's credible, and we're like, holy crap, what are you doing? And then it was a matter of being able to coach her through how to manage the interest and then digging down in her lines and coaching the people down in her lines that are interested. You're not always going to have the majority of my leaders on my team are not people I personally enrolled. I found them in my downline of networks of networks of networks. And that's why your networks are your net worth. So that's why I take you back to your list of 100 from the beginning of the call and remind you, don't think about your list as, oh, well, they don't need this. Oh, they don't need to lose weight, or they don't need this business. There is not a single person on this planet who can't benefit from these products. And if they have a massive network, it could change your life. It did mine, okay? But you have to be able to know how to coach people on how to get started and how to share. So hopefully this is making sense for you guys, just as far as like some of the resources and the tools that you have to get started. Okay, here's an example of, here are some examples of some like buzzwords I like to use. Are you open, right? So when I'm sending a message, you want to know if people are open to receive what you're about to say. And the thing is, if you've created some branding or some presence on social media, the reality is a lot of your network's watching, right? So when you reach out, they have a sense of what you're reaching out about, right? So my favorite is just, are you open? And then kind of filling in the blank. I always start by recognizing something that I have in common with someone. Like, you don't want to spam people. So I look at people's profiles and I'll say, hey, I see that you and I both went to ECU, or we were both in big pharma, or we were both leaders in the pharma industry. I like to say we have common threads. Don't know if it's a good time for you, but are you open? Are you open to additional income streams? It's one of my favorite things. I see, I'll basically say, I look at their profile and say, I see X, Y, and Z in common. You and I have some similar attributes. I was able to leverage that, and I'm building a phenomenal income. I created a secondary income stream for myself while working in corporate America. Are you open to learning more? Is this a good time? Would you be willing to take a look, right? All right. So these are some nuggets on connecting. I want to talk about also when people agree to speak. I think there was some stuff in the chat box, though. Let's see. What challenges do you guys have when connecting? Can you please PM me what you would like to hear about as Melissa and I lead the connecting call next week? Yes. Yeah, exactly. Christine's going to be leading connecting. And so what you guys want to hear is going to be great for Christine to be able to hone in on. Okay. So you got a nibble. Somebody says, okay, sure, I'll take a look. And you're like, oh my God, somebody wants to hear about the business. And then you're like, oh shit, I don't know what to say about the business. I'm just really excited and I want to do it, but I don't know what to say or do, right? Okay, so let's keep it simple. If you guys remember to our very first call, we talked about using the tools, and we talked about the simplicity of, connecting and educating and really validating, right? Connecting, educating, and validating, and then enrolling them. And so the validation piece is the three-way call. So if you're new, it's really important when someone says, yes, I'm interested in taking a look. It's really important that you fold in your upline, especially if you want to be talking about the business, because you want the credibility. And you also want to learn the verbiage. You want to learn how your upline is articulating the financial opportunity. I pulled a mandate hand. To this day, I still pull my upline in. If it's really big, like if it's somebody who's real big, I'm going to bring in Marie Miller or Jessica Johnston or Susan Miller. And so when someone says, yes, I'll take a look, or yes, I'd be willing to take a look. And again, be sure that you've watched Susan Miller's 3-way call video. It's down here, right here. 3-way call, if you guys see that. So when someone says they're willing to take a look, you can go one of 2 ways. I'm kind of like, I'm floundering because I'm not sure which direction I should tell you guys to go. This is what I do if you're working masses. So like Nicoletta and Melva, I know you guys are working in masses like I am, in a massive cold market. So you have to do something to kind of sieve away. Like you've got to be able to like pare down who's like, you know, a qualifying lead. So with LinkedIn, I actually require people to watch a video before I'll get on the line with them, because I found that given my background and my portfolio, Kristen, you would laugh at this. I used to not have people watch my video, and I got into 2 calls with 2 different people. And once we got on the call, I realized there were people I'd interviewed for my previous job, and they were looking for like another position. And one of them, they were both physicians, and like had no idea what network marketing was totally just like blindsided, like what we were talking about. And I had clearly messaged them, or they had messaged me, and we'd gone back and forth, and they were interested in what I was doing. And I didn't qualify them or educate them a little bit on what we were doing. So I got on the call, and they were like, yeah, I really wanted more feedback on why you didn't hire me. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting, right? So for me, if you're marketing to the masses, I would suggest if someone says, sure, I'm interested, sure, I'd be open. If you're working in large numbers, I would use a short video of some sort to say, great, check this video out, and if it piques your interest, let's follow up and schedule a time. Now, this is just for those of you who are working in the masses. Many of you are brand new to this, and you're marketing to your warm market, people that you know. Let me see in the chat. Or send them to Pencil Pitch Tuesdays. Yes, absolutely. Love it. That's even better than sending them a video, because it creates urgency and they have to watch it, right? So it's actually better than sending them a video. Is saying, we have a call on Tuesday night at this time, create urgency. They think that they have to watch it then, or there's no other opportunity, versus if you send them a video, they can watch it anytime. I love that, Nicoletta. Now, for those of you that are new and you're just now seeding for interest, I wouldn't send a video before getting your prospect to commit to a call. And that's because people like make up all these demons in their heads when they get too much information. They'll go start researching and then change their mind about getting on the phone with you. I see it all the time. So if this is your warm market, this is my advice to you. When someone says, sure, I'll take a look, I would say, great, or not even great. Before you respond to them, reach out to your upline. Hey, Melissa, I've got someone interested. When are you available for a 3-way call? And you and I, or your upline, will come up with 3 or 4 times. You may want to ask your prospect, or do days or nights work better for you, right? And then come to me and say, hey, this person needs nights, or this person needs days. What you want to do is coordinate with your upline first to find a couple of dates that you can offer to your prospect that work for both of you. Don't tell your prospect you're going to bring a complete stranger onto the line when you have them commit, because they're not going to get on the call 100% of the time. They're going to be like, this is weird. So you just want to circle back, offer them a couple of times and dates based on if, you know, day or night works for them. Get them to commit to a call. And what I say in my messaging, and what I would suggest you say in your messaging is, great, you know, I'd love to hop on the phone with you for 10 or 15 minutes, just talk about the opportunity. It may or may not be for you, but I'd love your insight anyway. And a lot of these people, you probably haven't talked to them in months, years. And so I love connecting with people I haven't talked to in years, regardless. It's a great way to network. And if it turns out it's not a good match, I have found that people still send me other prospects. And maybe they decide it's not for them, but they could use the health and wellness products, right? So then you get someone enrolled on the products, but isn't interested in the business. So once you get them to commit, then this is totally up to you guys. If this makes you uncomfortable, then I get it. But this is just my strategy I've used even to this day when I bring in Murray or Susan. Day of the call, usually just a couple of minutes before the call, so that it seems very matter of fact, very off the cuff. I'll just shoot them a quick text, like minutes before the call. Hey, looking forward to our call. By the way, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to wire in my friend Melissa or whoever, just because I'm new at this and I'm still learning, and I just want to make sure we get all your questions answered. You can use something along those lines, or you don't have to say that you're new at this. You can just say, she's more experienced than me, and you want to make it all about them. I just want to make sure you get all your questions answered, or I just think you would really find her story very validating. I just think that you would, so you want to make it about them, that what, her journey would resonate with you, right? So you want to make it about them. You want to make it very matter of fact. And then you pull your sponsor or upline onto that call and do the formal introduction, share your little bit of story, and then let your sponsor work their magic. Kristen's done a beautiful job with this. She's pulled me into a couple of three-way calls. She's done some introduction, talked a little bit about her experience, and then just let me talk. Luis is a master at this too. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about, I know we've got about 5 minutes, but I want to talk about tools and resources, and I'd love to let the other leaders speak up on this. This is kind of like 2.0 on connecting. Before you hang up on the phone with a prospect, you always want, you want to go for the close, which I find clinicians find really hard to do because it's not in our nature. Melvin and I have gone back and forth about this. Like, she has found that for the longest time, she's treated all of her prospects like patients. And, at the end of the call, she's just felt kind of like a little bit of a wet noodle. And she'll pull me on a call, and before I close, I'm like, is there any reason you wouldn't want to get started today? And that forces your prospect to give you their objections. And the reality is most of them are going to object with something. Either I need to talk to my spouse, or I need more information, or this all sounds really good, but I need to think about it. So and that's totally normal. No, guys, nobody signs up on day one. Well, did anybody sign up on day one here? No, nobody did. We all did. A lot of you are clinicians. I'm looking at you right now. A lot of you are. And we all had to go do our research. All of us. You have to respect that. Somebody just said something, but I can't get it to pop up right now. So you need to be loaded and ready with what you're going to say when you get off the phone with them, so that you're guaranteed another call and you've got homework for them. So if you hear nothing else from me tonight, nothing else, please take note on this, because I, to this day, have a much higher success rate when I implement this. Before you get off the phone, these words should come out of your mouth, and they're going to feel really uncomfortable at first. And then after you've done it a couple of times, it's not going to bother you at all. Is there any reason you wouldn't want to get started today? Okay. Now, the second thing you say is, because they're going to say they need more information, they need to think about it. Great. I'm going to send you our website. And I'd love for you to look it over. It's got all the information about the products. It's got all the information about the packs. It's got some great information about the business. I know you want to do your research so you can go play. What does next week look like? Actually, Susan Miller will tell you just 2 days. 2 to 3 days is as long as you need to go with a follow-up with people. When would you like to reconnect and follow up? Offer them a date and time. Do not get off the phone until they've committed to a date and time. It is totally psychological that when you have someone verbally commit to you before you get off the phone, A, that they're going to review the resources, and B, they've committed to a time. Now they have a deadline. They need to look at this information and come back to you with an answer. I find that in my first 2 years in this business, I lost so many enrollments because I never asked at the close, and then never had a plan to follow up, and then lost them. I'd spend 30 to 45 minutes with them on the initial phone call, and I didn't close them, didn't plan a follow-up, and would chase them for like months later wondering why I never heard from them. Have you guys ever had that happen to you before? Has it ever happened? Right? I know it has. So before you get off the phone, give them a tool. I suggest our website, and have them commit. Hey, this has been a great conversation. This website's going to be everything you need. Why don't we, and what I do is I make it feel not so pressured that I'm going to close them even on the next call. I say, why don't we chat in 2 days? What does 8 o'clock at night on whatever, Monday night sound like to you? Does that work for you? Great. I'd love to just set up that call after you've done your research so I can address any questions that you may still have. Right? So you're making it about them. You want to be able to address questions after they've done the research. Now they've committed to you, and you've got it in your calendar, and it's on you to message them a day or two before the call. Hey, just making sure we're still on for Monday night at 8 p.m., right? 9 times out of 10, they're going to be like, crap, I haven't looked at that website yet. I told her I was going to look. And they go look, and they learn, and they're fascinated, and they're interested, and they get on the phone with you, and you follow up, and you close them. Okay, chat box. Or with Melva's Cold Market Now, she is asking, are you the primary decision maker? Yes, that's a great question too. Are you the primary decision maker? Although I will say I have found people who aren't really committed will use their spouse as a cop-out, right? They'll say, well, I've got to talk to my husband. I've got to talk to my wife. And sometimes they'll use a spouse as a follow-up for not being able to get enrolled because their spouse isn't behind it. But many times it's just an excuse. But I do agree that there usually is someone who holds the purse strings in the household. What do you do when they refuse to commit to a time and date? Well, then we probably haven't identified a big enough need if they're not willing if they're not willing on the phone. Honestly, it's a telltale sign they're probably not going to enroll. I mean, personally, from my own experience, if you can kind of tell how the call's going, I think by the end of it, if they're not willing to follow up with you, they haven't really identified that what you've had to offer or what they've shared with you is in alignment, and they're not really wanting to commit to a follow-up call. So it's going to be on you to just follow up. Follow up. I would follow the 222 policy. So if they don't commit to anything, then it's going to be on you to follow up with them in 2 days, follow up with them in 2 weeks, and follow up with them in 2 months to see, if they're ready and if there's questions that you can address, what they thought about the website. This is good. What other questions? This was all I had today. So we actually ended on time. I'd love if anybody who wants to stay on and ask more questions, this is good. Ever do any role play during a call meeting to show how three-way call can work? I think I'd benefit greatly from seeing, oh yeah, we could do that. Totally. We can even do that that gives me content for Sunday night, our larger team call. We could do a three-way call. Could do a three-way call mock. Yeah, actually, I'm loving this. We could even do a three-way call example for product and one for business on Sunday night. I love this to share with the larger team. So this is a smaller group of people who are really training, kind of onboarding, but I think the whole larger group would benefit. Laura, person is interested in biz, sent video on biz. You guys, why don't you take yourself off of mute and just talk? I think that'd be easier. Laura, why don't you articulate what you've written here? Yeah, take yourself off mute. Go ahead.
I know, it was so long. It was so long. Okay. All right. So he's a coworker, and he wants to quit. Every day I see him and I walk by and he just shakes his head. So he knows that there's the opportunity. I've explained him examples. I've given a couple people stories. So I've spoken about you, Melissa. I've spoken a little about Solar. He knows. Gave him the link to the video on the Get Free, right? The one with Susan where she's so I waited, and then he asked me for the password because I wanted to make sure that he.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Laura.
And he didn't watch it. Watch the video. I'll get to it. I will. Oh, hold on. How about now?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. So it sounds like he's not having a good product experience. Does any of the other leaders want to pipe up for a minute? Anybody want to speak to this?
So the thing is, the last thing I was saying was that he approached me and sorry, I haven't watched the video, but I'm going to. And so I never know what to say, but I said to him, don't worry, when the time's right for you, you will. Because I don't want to keep like talking to him and pressuring him. I have invited him to Tuesday. And he has a second job, so I know that he wants out.
Right.
Now, go.
Okay. So he's not actually on the products right now. He wants to quit his job. Okay. I thought you were talking about the products. Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting
to be proud of.
What's important with people like this is just to be consistent but not obnoxious. So it's just going to take. It's going to take the right day at the right time for him to finally take a look, just like it did me. I think that for many people, they get to a space and a mindset where they're finally fully open, and it sounds like he's not quite there, and that's where it's your responsibility in a non-obnoxious way to just occasionally, hey, I'm still here. Hey, I know that. And the other thing you can do that I do on occasion is if I've consistently followed up with people who are saying they're interested but they're not getting started, is I'll give them a call out by saying, hey, look, I don't want to be a nag. So if you don't want me to continue following up with you on this, that is totally okay. Like you and I, we're totally fine. Like I'm glad that we're colleagues. I enjoy working with you. I don't want to be obnoxious. But if you're just not ready, but you want me to hold you accountable to continuing to follow up, I'm totally cool with that too. Because I have people who've told me on LinkedIn, I'm not in a space right now where I have the capacity to look at this or do this, but please keep me on your follow-up list. And I was one of those people. So it's important that you're organized and you're able to follow up with those people because you never know when they're going to be in a space where they're ready.
Yeah, and so because we see each other today and we say, and I'm to the point where it's like I don't bring it up anymore because I want him to understand, like, we're still we're co-workers, we're friends. Like I'm not trying to, so I don't want to bring it up all the time.
Right.
So, okay.
Absolutely. So I would say in like a month or so, if he hasn't brought it up and there's like an opportunity overview, just you might want to slide it.
So one thing that I wrote in there, I'm sorry, I don't mean to take all the time, but one thing I did in my was that he actually came to me and said, showed me, he's like, is this the video? I said, yeah. So he went outside. She have this weekend off. Can we get together? I said, absolutely. But then
Yeah.
and
He's sitting on the fence, just like people who are interested in the product are. People know when they jump into this business, just like they know when they jump into the product, they have to be in the right mindset to make the change, whether it's physical or financial. It's still work, whether you're going to commit to your health or you're going to commit to this business. And so it sounds to me like he's interested. He's just not quite over the hump yet. So just, keep circling back. And again, it wouldn't hurt to if it makes you feel better on occasion, just be like, look, I don't want to nag you if this is something you're not interested in anymore. But you just seemed really excited at one point, right? Christine, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I'm going to say something because it's so common, you guys. And more connecting you do, it becomes even more common. Like I'm listening to this, I'm like, no, this is my life goal, guys. Trust me. I've been on this product for almost 4.5 years, working with the same people every day. They see me drinking the cleanse and the bars and the shit every day. They ask, they try, I don't commit. So understand, number one, never, ever, ever take this personal, because if you do, you're gonna blame yourself and you're gonna back out for helping the next person who deserves your full attention. So don't let this person who canceled on you or posted on you bring you down. Just don't take it personal. It's their time, it's their decision. Honestly, it's their loss. So more they wait, they're making longer time to make a decision. And a lot of people don't know the difference between wanting something and actually deciding it. So you just in a job, they're still there. So they have not decided. They haven't really reached that point when they really want to walk away. So I would personally, as a friend, coworker, hear about them, ask them really, what is it about their job that they're really, really, really hating, okay? Because that may not even have any idea. What if they're relationship problems at work? They have no idea. But in our head, we don't know, and we come up with the stories. We paint this picture, and then they and we're, oh my God, did I say something wrong? Am I being aggressive? No, just ask the question, just straight up. I know you wanted to leave your job. Why? If you're okay with me sharing that, of course it's
Yep. All good point.
Really through connecting points, it's gonna make a smoother transition to the next step. Maybe next time when they hear a call, an invitation, they'll be like, shit, I better be on call because I don't want to miss out. So I hope it helps. That's just my approach, but this is very common. So good question.
Most people, it takes 7 to 8 touches to enroll them. So yeah, all good conversation. And I know it's late, guys, so if you need to jump off, you certainly can. I just want to make sure all the questions are answered. Any other questions? Maeva, yes. Same Zoom line. It's just for my larger team. I do a team call on Sunday nights for my entire downline. And then this particular call is just more for the new people and our leaders, just to kind of train them and move them along their journey in the first 3 months. So it's just a larger team call on Sunday night, and it is the exact same Zoom link. Any other questions about getting started here? Are you guys ready for your challenge for the week? So everybody should be working on their list, right? Your list, your network, we call it the 100 list, right? Which I probably have 1,000 people in Asana now. It's insane how many people you actually know. So the challenge is, I want you guys to track this, however you need to do it, on your iPhone, in your notes section, on a piece of paper, on your hand with a pen. I want you to message and or connect. Connect is really the word. Message, it can be belly to belly. It can be through a messenger, but I want you to connect with 5 people a day. 5 people. Now, that could be your Uber driver. It could be the grocery person. I've got grocery people who deliver my groceries every week. That's they're hustlers, right? It could be about product to a colleague. It can be direct messaging through LinkedIn. But in order to grow a business in network marketing, you must connect. We can be immersed in this training You can be on these calls every Wednesday night. You can be on Global Exec Team calls every single morning. You can listen to every podcast and read every book. But if you're not connecting, you are not going to grow a business. The best way to grow a business is probably to be connecting. Like if you've got to scale back on some of the personal development that you're doing, I think sometimes it feels good and we enjoy doing it. But we forget that that's ultimately not going to grow the business. What's going to grow your business is having conversations, stumbling through the verbiage, stumbling through the tools and resources, stumbling through creating these three-way calls, right? But those are only going to manifest if you're having the conversations, right? So challenge yourself this week, every single day. Check in with, and put an alarm clock reminder, maybe midday and mid-afternoon, that just goes off and says, am I connecting? Have I connected? Because you might be sitting in the back of the car of an Uber driver, and it forces you to think about, how am I going to strike up a conversation with this person about, is this, one of my favorite things is like, hey, is this your full-time gig? If it is, if it isn't, it's a great window of opportunity. I love practicing on Uber drivers. Another great thing to practice on, and Kristen, I'm thinking about you, is, although I don't know how much flying you're doing now, but is the rental car people, right? Like they've got great personalities. They're always very outgoing. They're very smart. It's a breeding grounds for people to go into big pharma. They're strangers. Who cares how the conversation goes? Stumble and throw it up, get it out, have conversations, connect, stumble through what isogenics is, stumble through what network marketing is, stumble through why you love this, so that when you do come across the right person at the right time, that it just flows with confidence. And it's only going to happen if you're practicing. So that's my challenge to you guys this week, with some of the tools and the skills and the resources we went through tonight, is to have 5 connections every single day. Put a little reminder in your phone to ask yourself if you're doing it. And that's it for tonight. You guys have a good evening, and we'll see you on the Get Call tomorrow morning. And you'll see a couple of the leaders. We're all going to be on this team. Will be leading the Get Calls next week. All right, guys. Good night. I'll be a little MIA. My in-laws are in, another set of in-laws are in town this weekend.